Hi, today we are going to talk about this. Add animation to Ellen sprinting. So far we have participated adding this acceleration. It is not very difficult, in particular after what we have already done. But for completeness, I'm going to add this page, and I have verified, followed it step by step, that it works. And what this is about, well, you remember that we already added in the past here the move blend tree, right? There were two states, Ellen idle and Ellen forward, walk forward. Well, now we have a sprint one that has three, so has idle, and we use idle short, so there are two clips for Ellen idle. We use let's see, Ellen idle has two clips. We use this one, but as you can see, they are configured to be basically the same, so you can choose whichever you want. Just me, I chose the short version because she's about to run, so I just think short is best. Then walk forward is the intermediate animation, and remember there are 5 clips. You have always to remember to click this one because this is the one that we use, and this is how it is supposed to be configured. And finally, the forward, running forward, again there are 5 because there's also forward left 45 degrees and forward and right 45 degrees and right. We just do forward, okay? And again, this is the configuration. Notice that there is in particular this, the offset. It needs to be added because this animation goes a little bit diagonally in a sense without. So we are basically compensating this amount so that when you run forward, she actually follows the line. So let me be straight here as much as possible. Okay, so I do this, and she runs, see, mostly straight, right? If this wasn't there, she would go more diagonally. So again, by default always goes here. You have to remember to do this, otherwise you modify the wrong one. You probably modify this one when you adjust it. And that's it. So pretty much you have a new state, and then there are ways to go in and out from move to sprint and from shoot to sprint. So let's see from shooting. If I'm shooting and suddenly sprint becomes true and jump is not, because remember jump is the highest priority, so that's to be false. But if sprint is true, then we go sprinting. How do we go back? Well, if both sprinting and jumping are false and both aiming and shooting are true, exactly like here, right? Aiming and shooting have to be true, so there's some consistency here, right? It's always good to cross-check these things. And then here, how do we go from moving to sprinting? Well, sprinting is true and jumping is false, and vice versa, both are false. So the logic is very simple. As you oh, look, I forgot to uncheck this. Okay, good that I checked. The other ones are all fine. Very good, very good. So see, I forgot this one. So uncheck it, otherwise, it completes the animation before moving back. Maybe it's not a big deal, but always good to do things right. And save, and save. So this gives me the opportunity to show you that when you make a change, you click on main, you do the overrides, you apply them. And then, of course, you can even delete it at this point because all the changes are here. So now when I press play, automatically see, it says no cameras because the cameras are in here. So the moment they get spawned, there you go. We have Ellen. And now when I press WASD, she goes at about 3, right? Speed 3. If I click the shift button, she goes faster. So it's not only the animation that changes, also the amount of translation, right? And this is apparent in here. Let me drag and drop it here now because I have to show it to you. So we have the character. So we used to have max walk speed 3, and now we have also max sprint speed, that is 6. If you remember, here we used to have something that says current max move speed equal 3 was hard-coded. Basically, it was always the walk speed. Now instead it says if the input controller detects that sprinting is being pressed, the sprinting button, the shift button is being pressed, then say that the max current move speed is equal to the max sprint speed, otherwise it's the max walk speed. And why is it important to do it here? Because this is used here as a denominator, right? So you basically take the character velocity x and z component, you calculate the magnitude, and this value can go from 0 to 3 if you are walking, or from 0 to 6 if you are running, and then you divide by respectively 3 or 6 if depending whether you are walking or running. And notice that this max current move speed influences also this value, because here at the top, when you apply the acceleration delta time to the velocity xz, you check that if it is not greater than max move speed. Again, it can be equal, based on this, to the sprint speed or the walking speed. And so basically this value is allowed to grow up to 6 or only up to 3, depending whether shift is pressed or not. And so this can be, 3 or 6 maximum, and this can be 3 or 6 maximum, so that the division is always between 0 and 1. That is what we want for move speed, right? For the blend state in here. See the blend state here, right? Move speed 0 to 1. And similarly also for the other one, for here, right? 0 to 1. See, depending on where it is, it moves to the different ones. Notice that we haven't changed them, so it's 0, 0, 5, and 1. So it distributes them uniformly across. I think it's good enough. Initially is idle, then is walking, and finally is running. And as you can see, it works. So you can just run in any directions. She goes, she walks, and then you press shift and she runs, and it's not just the animation that is faster, it's also that she's really going faster. And that's it. And of course you can also do it while you are zooming. Nothing prevents you from doing that. But alright. That's it. Let's look at the code now. As I mentioned, we added this. Actually, I haven't mentioned it, but I do it now. We add this one so that we set whether sprinting is being pressed or not, the shift button, right? And of course we added it in here, and on sprint is here, sets the isSprint pressed public variable, so that's why we can check it in here to set the isSprint pressed parameter that is here. So now I show you, I literally press the shift button only, okay? And you'll see that here, see? I don't know if you can hear that I'm pressing it. Okay, see, I press shift too many times and thinks I want to do some kind of usability thing. But yeah, you can see that it is pressed. Of course, we also added this, right? So you can switch. You can raise the ceiling of the maximum speed from 3 to 6 and back to 3 in whether we press the shift button or not, and then it enters in these calculations and in this calculation. So this little value, max move speed, influences a lot of things if you think about it. Then in character, of course, we had the max walk speed that was 3, now we have this one that is 6, also the max sprint speed, and then we use them here, right? When we say current max sprint speed is this one, sprint speed is this one, right? You see, because as capitalized letters, whereas these ones, no. See, they alternate. There is one that is not capitalized and one that is capitalized. Now these ones, in case you're wondering, they are properties, right? So that means they are really setter and getters functions, right? Every other, right? The second, the fourth, and so on. They are properties, so setter and getters, but kind of special in the sense that when you use them, they look like just regular variables. See, you don't have to say get current max sprint speed or anything like that. You don't have to use open and close parentheses or get functions because they're not functions. And then finally, last bit is, of course, you need to modify the controls. And there you go. The sprinting is as usual a button and nothing special to it. It is a shift or on the left shoulder on the gamepad if you want to run. And of course, don't forget to save. And then of course, don't forget to click on main and apply all of your overrides, and then you can delete it. And then don't forget to save the scene and the entire project. You press play. One more time. Let's see. Walking, running. All right. Hopefully that is clear. Thank you so much.